has nice corners above the wheel wells that really lock your feet in. Has just enough grip on the edge to keep you set on carves. Around cars and such, people too. It has excellent pop. It accepts 2 different truck positions for a wider stance or a more narrow stance. I go for the more narrow stance, so that way I get more pop from the tails. Another big perk of it is that it's symmetrical. So if you spin it around, you feel just as comfortable. Same thing, no difference. There's one thing to know though, that if you're coming from a board like a loaded Bangra, for example, boards like the loaded Bangra have camber. Kind of. They have rocker camber or rocker profile, which means that if you put a level from truck to truck on the top of the board, it's gonna sink a little low in the middle. And camber on boards like that, rocker camber, locks your feet in a bit more on carves, whereas this board goes for a different style of camber, which is more like a flatbed truck. It's actually a touch, about just a few millimeters, a touch high in the middle. Right where my toe was, it's a bit high. And what that does is give you more rebound on each push because it flexes down and then returns to its slightly cambered up position, giving you a little bit more boost. I had to switch over from my other board, and it took me a good couple of days to really get used to this boy. One other thing to note is that it's a little shorter than really long dancing longboards. It's I think it's 46. I'm used to a little bit more length, but that comes at one big advantage, and that's that there's not so much weight flipping through the air when you launch it on big tricks like circus flips and circus heel flips. The big round stiff tails scoop up a nice bit, so that way when you're doing manuals, you're not so likely to scrape the ground like you might on a flatter board. Similar, you know, I'd say the steepness of the tails lies between, from boards I've ridden, the Bangra and the Matahari, both loaded boards. The tail scoop on this is right between those. So I know when I first hopped to the Matahari, I thought that it was real hard to manual because I really had to lift my front foot up high to find the central balance point. And on the Bangra, it's just the opposite. You actually have to keep your front foot fairly low. But this guy is right in the middle. I was afraid I'd mess that up. Twice. No complaints. My current setup, Pantheon Tandava, Paris 180 50-degree trucks. Powell, Kevin Reamer race formula, the red ones, 70 something millimeter from Skate One. I've reaffirmed that bearings don't matter. I'm not even gonna tell you what I have because bearings don't matter. Shock pads. I always use shock pads. Every setup gets shock pads. And I'll swear by Loaded's countersunk, actually no, Buttonhead hardware, any day. From Mirror Skate or Loaded. That hurt. That was not that high of an ollie, but that was the easiest I've ever ollied up that curb. Not gonna lie, kicktails, pop tails, stiff deck, make a big difference. Let's crosswalk this shit.